When you look at the headlines, India's market seems pretty much unstoppable. But if you dig just a little bit deeper, there's this fascinating tug of war happening. See, one part of the economy is absolutely booming, while another is kind of hitting a wall. So what's really driving the numbers? Let's dig in and find out.
All right, first up, the number you've probably seen everywhere, 7.8%. That's India's annual GDP growth. I mean, that is a massive figure, and it really sets the stage for everything else we're about to look at.
But you know, a single number never tells the whole story, right? The real question is, inside that huge 7.8%, where are the smart opportunities hiding? And maybe more importantly, what are the hidden risks? And that's the puzzle we're going to try and piece together today. Okay, let's dive into Section 1, India's economic engine roars. First, we got to look at the big picture, the macro view.
And wow, the foundation here looks incredibly solid. It's not just that GDP growth is high, inflation is low, and unemployment is actually falling. I mean, this is basically the combination that economists dream about. You've got really strong growth, but the economy isn't overheating. It's pretty much the ideal state.
All right, Section 2, riding the domestic wave. So, where is all this good news coming from? Well, it all starts with the first of our two engines, pure, homegrown domestic demand.
And if you need proof, here it is. Retail sales are up a whopping 8% year-on-year. You know, that one number tells you pretty much everything you need to know. The Indian consumer is feeling good. They're spending money, and that is just pouring fuel on that internal economic fire.
So who's riding this wave? Well, first up, you've got the consumption sector, and it's getting a high confidence buy rating. No surprise there, really. This is about as direct a bet on that consumer confidence as you can get.
Okay, so let's break this down a bit. The sector is generating what we call significant alpha. Now, all that really means is it's beating the market average by more than 18%. Pretty impressive. The risk profile is great, but here's the catch. Look at that valuation. It's expensive. So investors are definitely paying a premium to get a piece of this action.
And next up, hey, look at that. Another high conviction buy rating, this time for the auto sector. It's basically surfing that same wave of domestic demand, and it's getting an extra little push from policies like GST rationalization. Basically, that just made cars and trucks a bit cheaper for a lot of people.
And wow, this slide right here, it tells the whole two-engine story in a nutshell. Check this out. Domestic sales are up over 9%. Fantastic, right? But exports, they've absolutely fallen off a cliff, down over 41%. It's just incredible. That internal engine is so strong, it's just carrying the entire sector on its back.
Now, the third pillar of this whole domestic boom, it boils down to a truly massive amount of money, $185 billion. That's a mix of huge government investment in things like roads, plus major private spending in areas like power. I mean, we're talking about nation building on an epic scale here.
So it should come as no surprise, right? All that cash flooding in makes the infrastructure sector our final high-conviction buy. It's just perfectly positioned to benefit from all this spending, and with low risk and a fair price tag, it's really one of the most direct ways to bet on India's growth story.
Okay, on to Section 3, navigating global headwinds. Because, you know, it's not all sunshine and roses. Now we got to look at the other side of this coin. We're talking about that second engine, the one that's really struggling against some serious global pressures.
Okay, first, let's get a key term out of the way, because you're going to see it a few times. Bearish exhaustion. Think of it like this. It's like a big storm that's starting to lose steam. The rain isn't coming down as hard, the wind is dying down, the worst seems to be over. But, and this is the key part, the sun isn't out yet. You're stuck in that murky, uncertain middle ground.
And the first sector we see getting caught in this global storm is IT. Our analysis is actually flagging it as a potential short. Since IT is so incredibly reliant on exports, it's really the perfect case study for these outside pressures. Now this is where it gets interesting. You'd think, with everything we just saw, the IT sector would be doing great, right? I mean, the local economy is strong, businesses feel good, demand for services should be healthy. So what gives? What's the problem here?
Well, the problem is, those global headwinds we talked about, they're just too strong to ignore. You've got threats of US tariffs, outsourcing curbs. It's a perfect storm. So for a sector like IT, which relies so much on the rest of the world, that sputtering global engine just matters more than the booming one at home. It's as simple as that.
And you know, IT isn't alone in this. Other sectors that really depend on exports like pharma and commodities, they're in a similar boat. They're all getting tossed around by the same global trade winds, making them part of this struggling second engine.
All right, Section 4, the market's financial bedrock. So think about it. We've got one engine roaring ahead and another one sputtering and pulling back. So what's holding this whole thing together? Well, that would be the financial bedrock of the market, the banks.
Now, the banking sector is kind of split in two. You have the broader market and then the public sector banks. Look, both are fundamentally solid, thanks to that strong domestic economy we keep talking about. But their performance has been a bit all over the place, which is why they're getting these cautious, neutral ratings for the time being.
But, and this is a big but, here's the potential game changer, especially for those public banks. The government has this thing called the PSB Monthon Summit, and it's basically a signal that they're getting serious about reforms. And if they follow through, wow, that could unlock some serious value in a part of the market that's honestly pretty cheap right now. So yeah, this is definitely one to keep an eye on.
Okay, let's wrap this up. Section 5, your strategic takeaway. We've seen the good, the bad, the domestic boom, and the global drag. So what's the one big idea you should take away from all of this?
It really all boils down to this simple idea, a tale of two engines. First, you've got that incredibly powerful domestic engine. We're talking consumption, auto, infrastructure. They are just firing on all cylinders, pushing the whole market forward. But at the exact same time, you've got the global engine, the one that powers sectors like IT and exports, and it's just sputtering, being held back by all these pressures from outside.
And so, this leaves us with the big, central question for anyone looking at the Indian market right now. We know the domestic engine is a beast. We also know there's a global storm raging. So the billion-dollar question is this: is that domestic engine powerful enough to pull the entire train forward, even with the other engine dragging it back? Now that is the story to watch.